Welcome on Cornhusker Connection. We got the fellas here for our something like 101st YouTube video on the Cornhusker Connection Network.
Wow.
So yeah,
Big
big
time.
moves we can grind. It's been flying by. But this week, probably the biggest week of them all. We got Iowa Hate Week. We'll certainly get into all of our Iowa slander. I feel like I've been teasing this whole rant for the whole year, so I'm pretty juiced about it. The vibes are high, but I do want to kind of get some sad stuff out of the way first. I did see a quick little rumor that Matt Rule might be interviewing for the Texas A&M job, which to me would make a lot of sense for Texas A&M. Is there any bit that you're buying?
No.
Well, and when I say it would make sense for Texas A&M, like it feels like it would be too good for them, and they're gonna find a way to fuck this whole job search up anyways. And Matt Rule feels like it would be such a home run for them for what they're trying to do, and it's not it.
I feel like Texas A&M could go out and get a better name than Matt Rule, but I certainly understand why people might make that connection, as he has a reputation of being a program builder, but you got to think there's a bigger name out there for the Aggies.
Bigger name, not necessarily better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you're right there. I think actually maybe that's not the right fit, because I think for Texas A&M is that you want the best coach, not necessarily the best program builder like Nebraska needed in their coaching search. It's kind of how I view Rule versus Fickell in the offseason. I think Fickell might be a better football coach, but for what Nebraska needed, Matt Rule is the perfect fit. And I don't know if that would be as good of a fit in College Station.
And Matt Rule's...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nope, you got it.
I feel like we could be seeing another like Lincoln Riley situation happening, where somebody just up and leaves and they're like, whoa, holy shit. I don't know who yet. I haven't really dug too deep into all that. But I feel like it's going to be like, holy cow, nobody was even talking about Lincoln Riley going to USC until it happened. So,
yeah, they're definitely going to make a lot of coaches say no.
I got a name that I think is under the radar, especially with what he could bring right away. Deion Sanders.
Brothers, sign me up for that. First of all, it gets Deion out of Boulder. Further illustrates that Colorado's a stepping stone program at best. And then it's going to be such a disaster at Texas A&M that it works out best for everybody, because he wouldn't work there. They don't need a good recruiter. They had a great recruiter. They had top 5 recruiting classes. They have so much talent. They need a ball coach. And I love Coach Prime. I love what he's done for the Buffs there. But it would not work at Texas A&M. But sign me up for that.
And it's not like a traditional rebuild for Texas A&M because of their resources and, like you said, their recruiting prowess. So Deion comes in, brings in Shador with him. That team could be good year one.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty crazy.
And I don't want to discount Deion's coaching ability. It's just we haven't had the chance to really see it yet. We haven't really had a chance to see him coach up players in a team. So I think, to me, that's what, at least that's what I thought you were saying, Brandon, is we just haven't seen it. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, because he's done a phenomenal job acquiring talent, but Jimbo was also very good at acquiring talent. So it feels like you're just adding another guy on the payroll that you're gonna have to buy out here in a few years. A name that I thought would make a lot of sense, if we're talking unexpected, Jay Norvell. They've poached from Tallahassee before. Maybe do it again.
Mike Norvell.
What did I say, Jay?
Yeah.
Dang it. Mike Norvell, Florida State head football coach, is what I was getting at.
I could see that.
I just think it'd be very funny if their whole strategy is, just keep getting Florida State guys. Let's just keep poaching those guys. One of them.
Bring Jordan Travis with him.
Let's go.
I think he's gone. I think he's going to the league.
No, that would make sense. It just with the unfortunate injury.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
It might be maybe better to wait and just show that you're still able to play, because I don't think it's going to affect his playing career. Just
No,
think
absolutely
guys in
not.
the
The
NFL will
optics of it.
just, I think guys in the NFL would just feel more comfortable drafting him if they saw him put one more year after the injury to feel good about it. I mean, I think he has all the ability to play in the NFL.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to think of any great coaches that aren't getting paid enough that Texas A&M could really just throw the bag at.
I mean, wait, hold on. I just had a funny thought. Do they double down on the old people and just try to hire Mac Brown?
Yo, he's a Texas guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's got it in him to restart again.
He's so old. His
He's
days
so old.
coaching gotta be. I mean, I'm not saying
72, brother.
Oh,
Urban Meyer?
no.
They're gonna make him say no. He probably
I
will
don't
say
think
no,
so.
but I think
I mean,
you got to have
odds-
a conversation.
What about, because especially being around Nebraska, you hear this a lot, but Tony White to Texas A&M?
No.
I don't
No way
think
he'd
so
do it.
because he's too new.
Yeah,
And he's never been a head coach before.
But he's
Yeah.
a hot name around the league from what we're hearing. So just interesting thought.
but I think it's like for like a San Diego State caliber role for Tony White. It would be very crazy for him to go to Texas A&M. That'd be nuts.
That'd be nuts.
Jed Fish from Arizona is another one that I've heard that would make a lot of sense. Jeff Traylor from UTSA knows Texas very well.
I don't know if you caught, he definitely interviewed for the job because after UTSA's last game, they asked him about it and he literally just avoided the question and didn't answer. But with what he did at UTSA, as far as getting guys that can play to go there, if you give him the NIL resources, he would be a slam dunk hire for them.
I think so too. You need a good ball coach. I mean, it's as simple as that. Mel Tucker's unemployed now.
Do you think he gets another gig somewhere?
I think so. I think so. Probably nowhere like relevance. Probably a lot like what happened to Bobby Petrino. It's like he'll still be around, but he's never going to be the guy at a premier Power 5 team again, unless Texas A&M says so. Oh, see ya.
Other names. I do feel like there is we're gonna see some names that you're like, no way, this guy's gonna leave, or I'm here for it though.
Yeah, I mean, exactly as you guys mentioned, nobody expected Lincoln Riley to ever be a candidate anywhere else. Same thing with Brian Kelly, probably.
Well, that's not true though, because everybody thought Lincoln Riley was going to LSU. Do you remember that?
You know what? I do kind of remember that now, but that didn't even seem believable to me.
Yeah, no one.
I guess that seemed. Yeah, I guess I kind of. Yeah, I remember that.
Everyone thought he was going to sneak out the side door and go to LSU, and then the curveball of the century, he goes to USC.
And you know what I'm hearing out of USC is maybe a Jim Leonard as their new DC, which would be such a home run.
I think so, but that roster on the defensive side is so broken. Because this year they brought in a bunch of guys that are talented, and they still couldn't stop anybody. So,
yeah, interesting stuff here. But it is Iowa Hate Week. How are you feeling, boys?
Full of hate.
I mean, I texted this to you. I think this is the most important game, and I'm not gonna. I don't have the ego to clip this and put it on the TikTok, but this feels like the most important game I can remember, which feels dramatic. And I'd love somebody to point out a game where it felt more important. But you just look at the highs and the lows that come with this game. You win, you break that bowl drought, you pick up another win against Iowa. It means so much. You get this extra month worth of reps with this very young team in Nebraska. You just you get so much positivity out of it. And then on the flippity flop, if you lose, not only do you lose to your hated rival, last year to me feels more of like a fluke than a changing of the guard, like I had claimed it was. And then you end the season on what, a 4-game losing streak, missing out on a bowl game again after losing to 4 bad teams. Iowa mediocre at best of those 4, but all bad teams, all very winnable games. So it feels so important.
Tyler?
I just think about the games that we've had and how close they have been to make this game important, but not as important, like where our season is literally on the line here. Which I wish we could have picked up another win just to take the pressure off. But Matt Rule has talked all year about having pressure, and it's good for the team to have that pressure, but not feel suffocated by it. But to your question, I can't remember one, just because this is what's going to kind of define Matt Rule for the next 3 or 4 years. So I'd rather start that on a good note than have to, oh, maybe Matt Rule and Nebraska are good. I'd rather them just say, yeah, there was a lot of improvement and that there's a lot to build off of. I think this could be a big momentum swing game.
You know, thinking back, the last time we had real expectations was, I believe, 2016 was Tommy Armstrong's senior year, where we started 7-0, and then he gets hurt and we lose by quite literally 60 to Ohio State. And
I remember that. Yeah.
So that was our last winning year, but this one feels bigger than that, truthfully. Because like you said, that whole extra month of practice means so much just because we have such a young roster. And going forward, we have quite a few, it sounds like, seniors opting to come back, and that's just more time to gel with the same guys. And we really need that, not having that the last, 6-7 years. So I think Brandon's right on the nuts with this one. It's a huge moment for our program.
And it feels silly because I spent a lot of time. I've walked this back since we've put out this show, but I've always bashed on Iowa fans because this always feels like their Super Bowl, when unfortunately now it feels like my Super Bowl, where nothing else matters. Even in a situation where it's like I think I would rather win 6 games beating Iowa than winning 7 games beating Maryland and Michigan State and losing to Iowa. And it feels sad, but that's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, getting that win last week would have been big, just because it's been 100 years since we won at Wisconsin. But this one is always going to be bigger, and I'm glad that everybody's come around to, yes, this is actually a rivalry.
Yeah. That's on me. I've grown. You guys have made me grow.
Yeah.
101 videos of finally grown into a respectable Husker fan.
Yeah. I guess I don't. This is a big game, and as you were talking, Brandon, they're already kind of putting out flyers like, "Hey, we're going to rest our starters. So if Nebraska beats us, then yeah, we didn't have any of our starters playing." Things like that, which is complete and utter bullshit.
It's the softest shit I've ever seen. You're going to start.
You only get 13, 14 games at max in a season, and you're going to rest starters? Come on.
To go get blown out by Michigan or Ohio State. Crazy.
Yeah. No,
brother, you're not winning that game.
No.
And that game doesn't really matter. I mean, there's no Rose Bowl anymore. At least for there's no path to the Rose Bowl for Iowa. I mean, you get a better bowl game and a trophy, and I guess that it does matter, but it's like it's not. You're not getting into the playoffs.
No.
They know that, right?
My whole thing is Penn State could not hold Michigan or Ohio State's jock this year, and Iowa got shit pumped by Penn State. So what do we think's going to happen?
This is how many they scored against Penn State, in case we're curious. Imagine getting shut out. Imagine playing 60 minutes of football and not scoring a single goddamn point.
There's a realistic possibility in which Iowa does not get past the 50-yard line in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
I said on one of our other podcasts that Iowa will not have one single yard from the line of scrimmage, one positive gain play in the first half.
I believe that. I believe that for sure.
It's going to be fun to watch.
As far as like the actual football analysis and what I've seen from Nebraska, what I've seen from Iowa, I do, and I'm hesitant to make this point because I've made this point about every person who's played quarterback for Nebraska this season in droves. But boy, some of the plays that Chuba Purdy was making on Saturday, I mean, that's a game changer if he's able to replicate that again on Saturday.
It's just what happened. Like, Wisconsin clearly made adjustments. Nebraska was just still trying to do the same shit, it seemed.
And again, down the stretch, our offensive play calling just mind-boggling. Game management there at the end was terrible. And like, I understand their point where they didn't want to lose. Like, what was the one? I'm drawing a blank.
Are you talking
What
about
was
like
the
towards
last
the end of the game or?
Against
Yeah.
Maryland?
What? Yes, Maryland, where we mishandled the clock, but this was, egregious the other way. You could have had 3 shots at the end zone, and instead you only had 1.
I'll defend that in the sense where, yes, you do get 3 extra shots at the end zone, but you also give the most turnover-prone offense in America 3 chances to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And
True.
with how much I believe in our kicker, again, new developments, I've changed, I've evolved. With as much faith as I have in our kicker, much faith as I have in our run game and our defense, I'm not too upset with being a little bit more passive there, especially no turnovers at that point in the game. It to me, and you probably can't do this as a football coach, but as a very nervous, superstitious fan, it just felt like we were due. It feels like this was the moment where we'd be knocking on the doorstep and we'd find a way to fuck it up. So I was relieved to go into overtime.
I was happy to go into overtime when it was all said and done, but when you're on the road, it feels like you have to go make something happen. And when you're at home and you have, the crowd behind you, you can be a little bit more passive. But in that particular moment, I would have loved to see us throw 2 or 3 goal line fades to Malachi Coleman and let him go be an athlete or something and try to win. Because you saw what happened in overtime. It's, they kind of suffocated us. So if you have a chance with 3 plays to, go out and win it on the road, I think you should do that. But
that's a good point.
Neither here nor there.
It was also really frustrating just to watch how untackleable Mordecai was during that game. We were just flying by him every single chance we got, which was really disheartening because that could have stopped a few of those drives early instead of letting them march down the field and score.
And truthfully,
You're
it's the reason
right.
we lost to Maryland too when Tualia got loose there at the end.
Yeah.
Well, these guys aren't like dynamic athletes either, especially Mordecai. It's just so elusive, and boy, so many missed opportunities. And I think the secondary played fine, but I mean, you can only ask so much of them.
Yeah.
But the play calling throughout the game still makes me very uncomfy. My theory is that it started off good because I feel like the head coach is more involved with scripting the start of the game, where once you kind of hand the rhythm and the rest of the game off to the play caller, then it kind of feels like it gets away from the message. Because I'm looking at the stats here. They had 40 rushing attempts and 24 passing attempts. Now, I think it's also probably pretty closer to 50-50 when you consider QB scrambles that Purdy just tucked and run, which I don't think that can happen on Friday. It's got to be more 70-30. And I love what Purdy did throwing the football. I kind of forgot what it looks like when a quarterback can complete passes like that. And maybe that's why I was so high on Heinrich Haarberg for so long, is I just forgot what it looks like. But now that I do, he made some great plays. He was very efficient. He also did a great job of just chucking the ball towards the sideline when nothing was there. And, of course, turning on the Jets that I didn't know he had. So I'm feeling really excited about him, but it's got to be a much different plan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, early on in the game, we kept doing those quick wide receiver like swing passes or screens, if you will, that were working, and then we kept just doing them.
Scott Frost had to be sick watching that.
Yeah. I mean, then we just kept doing them, and then they weren't working, and we still just kept trying to do them. Like, good teams are going to adjust and not allow you to do the same thing over and over again. Which I guess I don't know if Marcus Satterfield realizes that people can do other things in the middle of games, like people can adjust, because he never seems to. So maybe he was just kind of caught off guard, like, whoa, they're doing something different. Somebody throw a flag.
And I know we want to be a team that runs the ball more than we throw the ball, but especially when we're struggling to get something going, I hate on first and second down seeing the inside handoff for like a yard. And then all of a sudden you're on 3rd and 8 and you're in a predictable passing down and you're asking so much of young receivers and a inexperienced quarterback. It's like, we got to stay out of that. We have to be in 3rd and 5 or less to have a shot.
Oh, that's a good point. I think I'd still rather see that than drop back on 1st and 2nd and 3rd down and punt on 4th and 10.
I think you just gotta like change it up. You gotta keep them guessing. So yeah, every once in a while you throw in a pass on 1st down. You don't just do the same thing over and over again.
And I feel like when they get creative in the run game with certain traps and options, I think it's worked out very well for them.
Exactly.
Unless when you run a speed option the short side of the field that never works, you run out of space every single time. Don't fucking do it.
The speed also option just like end arounds overtime was tough.
Yeah,
that was tough.
End arounds and stuff that we try to do, like they never work, but we always try to do them.
What you ought to do is, as a great offense that I've watched a lot of, is you take your best wide receiver and then you fake like you're running a motion, and you do that 50 times a game and never actually give him the football. I've seen that quite a bit. Worked out well, if I remember right.
Yeah.
At least that's how I remember it. Nonetheless, I think this is a winnable game. And I feel I wouldn't put such high expectations on it if it wasn't a winnable game. And I mean, Vegas thinks so too. Where I think last time I checked, we were a 2-point favorite with like a 2.5 point favorite. That's nuts. I didn't expect that.
Well, what Brooks said is you get an automatic 3 points from Vegas at home in college. Is that correct?
It's usually 3.
Yeah.
3 points. Yeah. So it means that technically Iowa is favored by half a point, if that makes sense.
But Tyler, I thought Iowa was the big bad Big Ten West champions. I thought they were unstoppable. I thought they were just one screwed up ref call away from being 10-1 at this point. Tyler, isn't that what we've been told?
That is what
by
we're
the
told,
mainstream liberal media. Isn't that what they've been trying to sell us on?
Fucking libs. I mean, you're not wrong,
dude.
I'm just saying it's going to be a tough game. It's definitely winnable. It's definitely a must win. I don't want to mince words about it. This is the most important game of the season besides the first one. We need to win this game at all costs.
So what has to be different? Because I think going into the Wisconsin game, if you had told me we're going to not turn the ball over throughout 60 plus minutes, well, I think he threw an interception in the last play in overtime.
Yeah,
which is bullshit. I don't count that.
Okay, so you don't count that. So no turnovers for 60 plus minutes of football. You jump out to a 14-0 lead. If you had told me that, I'm like, oh, we're winning. We're winning. I don't know what else happens, but that's it. That's all we need. And then we still lost. What has to be different in this game on Friday? Because obviously you can't turn the ball over and you can't just have to get off to a quick start. What has to be different this week?
One thing that I think needs to be looked at is there's a very thin line for being aggressive and being stupid. I like going forward on fourth down until I don't, if that makes any sense. Like sometimes I think it's good to just take the points. But it's like the first fourth down play that we went for and we didn't even get close. In the moment, I was saying go for it. But obviously looking back now, it's like, well, we didn't get it. Would have been nice to have those 3 points. Also would have been nice if Tristan hits that kick right before halftime. That's 6 points that you're leaving out there. So I think we need to take a deeper look on why are we going for it instead of just we're going for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point. I do think, because if I remember, we were on like the 30-yard line in that
Yeah,
first.
definitely in field goal range. Yeah.
But I don't think it's gimme range. And I think
No.
And they might have seen something during warm-ups because Tristan didn't look good on Saturday. I don't know if it was the wind or what was going on, but even the field goal he made looked ugly, and then he missed that one before halftime. So maybe they just saw something like, I trust these guys who are humming down the field to get 1 yard before I trust him to get 52.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was it, but yeah, you gotta. I can't imagine Iowa housing a bunch of points here on offense. You got to take them when they come.
Exactly. Points are going to be at a premium on Friday, and we have to just take the points. We can't get greedy with Iowa, especially with how inept their offense is at times. If we have to field goal them to death, then that's what we have to do. But Iowa's defense is so good that we can't be chasing points early, and we definitely cannot turn the ball over.
Yeah, I was just watching the NFL the other night, and I can't even remember who was playing, but it's a real Super Bowl contender. They didn't score a touchdown till like 2 seconds left in the game. They kicked a bunch of field goals. They took their points, and then at the end of the game, they made a couple of big plays. And that's why they're Super Bowl contenders, and that's why
I wonder who
Nebraska
that
needs
was.
to. Yeah, I wish I could remember, but whatever. We'll be seeing them in January and February. So
Yeah.
Sure.
But same kind of
Definitely
message.
not
You
in
take the
February.
points. Man, so good game on Friday. I'm nervous about it. I'm nervous, but another thing I want to talk about. Admittedly, I want to talk about it beforehand, but I got so excited because this game means so much. Jordan Travis is out of the season with a horrible injury, and you hate to see it, and you hate that the Florida State's so soft that they schedule a game against Middle Tennessee State or whoever that was in November, and that's the game that this happens in. But that was shitty. Not the point I want to make. Heartbreaking stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sit this one out because I know I'm going to say something stupid, so you guys go ahead and talk.
Okay. See you, Brooke.
Or not.
I guess we can be as vile as possible. No,
it is heartbreaking. Yeah, go ahead.
So let me just ask you this. Does the playoff committee need to look at Florida State differently now?
I don't think so. Because while Jordan Travis was awesome this year, he's not the reason that they're good this year. Like, he's not the only reason, I should say. And it looked as though they were losing when Jordan Travis got hurt.
That's true. Maybe Jordan Travis was holding them back.
I don't want to say that. But maybe the team kind of rallied around him getting hurt, so they started playing better. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Yes and no. I don't think that they should penalize Florida State for losing Jordan Travis, but they should. I think they really need to just. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. They shouldn't penalize them because Jordan Travis is hurt, but
they should penalize him.
But I think that it is a different team, and with only 1 week left, it's if they don't look awesome, I think that they will get knocked down a peg.
Yes, I just asked Tyler if the committee needs to look at Florida State a little bit differently now without Jordan Travis compared to when they had him.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they're going to win the ACC now. I think Louisville being healthy probably takes care of this, and Florida State had to go undefeated and win their conference to be in. So I don't even think this will really be a discussion, but let's just say they do beat Florida and they do beat Louisville. It would be hard to say no, even though our eyes tell us they probably get, curb stomped by whoever they play. In which I would say probably keep them out, even if they do win those two games, because if we're being honest with ourselves, they wouldn't be one of the best 4 teams with a backup quarterback.
I would hate if they punish Florida State for this, and I think, drop my pen. I think, well, first of all, I don't think the best 4 teams necessarily need to be in the playoff. I hate that that's a conversation that people make, because the games have to matter, and it feels like such a crazy precedent to leave out an undefeated Power 5 champion, especially one with a couple of good wins like Florida State's going to have in this hypothetical scenario. If they lose to Louisville, they're toast. If they lose to Florida, which I don't think they will, they're toast. But I mean, that's such a shitty precedent to set, especially as somebody who loves the Big 12 as much as I do, because this absolutely opens the door for an undefeated Big 12 champion at some point down the road to get shafted in some way, shape, or form.
I'm gonna backtrack because Ohio State did win a natty on their 3rd string quarterback. So
that's the next thing I was going to bring up. On the 3rd string quarterback I think he got hurt in the Michigan game.
If they take care of business, put them in, because like you said, you have to win the games on your schedule and be deserving. And I think they deserve to be in if they go undefeated and win the ACC.
And that was a controversial one, too, because they had a pretty bad loss early in the season to Virginia Tech, which TCU, what was the next team on the doorstep, they did not have a bad loss. I guess they had a not so bad loss, but they beat Baylor, who was number 5. And then I feel like any conversation got thwarted once Ohio State won the damn thing. But yeah, I think, and as Tyler hinted on, it's not just the quarterback. There's so much talent on that team. They've really been playing well. And if you win those games, that team deserves it. And it feels like such a slippery slope, because like, what happens if this obviously wouldn't happen, but like, what happens if Ohio State beats Michigan and Marvin Harrison Jr. gets hurt? Well, then do you factor in that injury? Where do you draw the line at injuries? Or do you just say, hey, this team's undefeated as a Power 5 team. They knocked the doors out of LSU. They beat up on Louisville, who was a top 10 team at the time. They ran through their conference. And I this would be the year for it, because the margins are so thin at the top. So I'm curious to see it, but I would hate to see that, them get penalized anyway.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a page out of UCF's book and go ahead and anoint the healthy Florida State team the best team in the country this year. It's a shame we're not going to get to see Jordan Travis dice up Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, whoever. It's really a shame. But I think you do have to give them their flowers, because best team in the country.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but they do deserve to be in the playoff. I wouldn't give them the same,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely a top 10 team.
They were the team.
I'm pretty confident to say they're the best team in Florida. So, I mean, that's something.
I'm willing to meet you guys in the middle and say they were top 2 and they were not 2.
Okay. I also would not give them credit for a national championship, since they don't have Scott Frost on their coaching staff. That's the only reason why I give UCF a pass. So I'll nip that in the bud there.
I mean, JMU could have had it this year. Unfortunately, ran into the buzzsaw Appalachian State team.
Yeah, the buzzsaw of Appalachian State.
I mean, they are always, every year, they seem to squeak out one of those wins where, like, North Carolina should beat them easily and they play them tough. Or JMU this year. I mean, you can look back at Appalachian State's history and just be like, yeah, destroyer of dreams.
They are. Michigan knows all too well about them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Exactly. So last thing I wanted to just skim over, we won't be giving our picks quite yet this week. We'll do that a little bit closer to game time, but I do kind of want to go over our picks from last week. Once I share my screen here, since I didn't come on and talk about, because I put one game on here just to slander them a little bit, and that's Chattanooga, Alabama, for scheduling them in November. And by the way, Auburn did the same thing, and they fucking lost. So
that's crazy.
The SEC
not only did they lose, they lost by 21.
They got beat up pretty bad, and it's outstanding stuff. And yeah, the SEC stinks. I mean, while teams like Washington's playing Arizona as an underdog, you know, you have Oregon playing. Can't even remember who Oregon played. Oh, okay, they played Arizona State. That doesn't much matter. I guess I could look at this late. Utah and Arizona, Georgia, Tennessee. This isn't the right week, is it? No, it is.
No, it is.
Oh gosh, I'm losing my mind.
What's that?
But you're a coward,
looking like?
by the way. You're a coward, Brandon.
I am?
Yeah.
You're picking Wisconsin?
I mean, you just thought you could sneak in Wisconsin without us knowing?
I felt like if there was a week to do it, I would. I was trying to see if I was bad luck. And I'll tell you what, during the start of that game, I was ready to get on Twitter and start talking Chuba Purdy Heisman Trophy. Then I'm like, let me just settle down one time in my life before I start preaching that. Put the phone down, didn't look at it the whole game. I thought maybe this is, you know, the curse that I'm lifting. Guess it didn't work. This was kind of part of that. But I was like, I got to get a win here. It didn't do much in the season standings for me, but it is what it is.
I mean, look at me going 8-2. That's pretty impressive for me.
Yeah, why don't you toot your own horn?
Well, somebody's gotta.
Well,
2-2.
I mean, I got 1 week to catch you.
I mean, it's a race now.
Sure would be the same if I just took all the same picks as you.
You got to go first this week.
Nope.
Let's see here, because I did have to do that on our Big 12 show. I'm like 7 picks out, and I'm 6 picks down with 7 games to go. So I'm like, you pick your picks. I just have to go the opposite and just hope for it. Like I get one where we can pick the same team. So we ended up cooking like a plus 124 365 parlay, or $100 gets more than 120 grand. So that's what I'm rooting for this week. And of course, these standings aren't much better. Well, with that 8 games down with 10 to go. Let's see here. Where are we at? 38 minutes. Yeah, let's just go through it here. I'll kind of fill them in as we go here for the big week. TCU and Oklahoma is the first one. By the way, the Big 10 or the Big 12, 168 different outcomes on configuring the Big 12 championship game. I can't wait for it. That to me feels like the perfect metaphor for what this conference means to college football. Because you think about it, the SEC has 0 scenarios. There's 0 different outcomes. The Big 10 has like 2. The Pac-12 has a couple. ACC has 0, and the Big 12 has over 100. So, and this is a big part of it. TCU on the road to Oklahoma. The chaotic thing would be TCU to win. That opens up the door for a lot of chaos on Saturday. However, I don't think they get it done. Give me Oklahoma here.
Go ahead, Brooke.
Does anyone know what the line on that is yet?
I can take a look here.
I guess I could.
I mean, I would think Oklahoma would be.
I would guess Oklahoma by 7.
I would say like 10 at home.
Oh man, yeah, that's dead on.
10?
Yep, Oklahoma by 10. I don't call you Bookie Brook for nothing.
Someone get me out to Vegas. Get me in touch with the right people. I'm going to go Oklahoma. They need to win to keep their Big 12 championship hopes alive. Tyler doesn't have the stones to take a 10-point underdog.
No, I'm going Oklahoma as well.
Gotta copy me. You hate to see it.
Texas A&M and LSU. First game without Jimbo Fisher, if I'm not mistaken. No, they didn't
Second.
have him last week. Second
Yeah.
game. At LSU, that's a tough ask. LSU's probably putting Jaden Daniels in sicko mode. Just go out and eat up a bunch of stats, score a bunch of touchdowns. I think it's the Tigers by 1 million.
If I had to guess, I'd say this line's around 6, 7.
11.5.
Whoa, crazy. 11.5. Well, I certainly don't think LSU has the defense to be laying 11.5 points, but
that's a lot of points.
I think LSU does get it done at home, though.
I have to agree.
Shocker.
You're really gonna have to start going on a limb.
I know. I mean, I got 3 games to work with here.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Up next, the Kentucky State Championship game, Louisville and Kentucky. Louisville, boy, this feels like a spot where they would kind of come down to earth, but I also, it's not copy and pasting, but they're also so much better of a football team, I think. So maybe looking ahead to Florida State. Tyler, do you believe in look ahead games?
Nope. Wait. Did we decide that I can't remember what we talked about.
What game was that? Was it this week?
No, I won that bet. It was the under that you took for Oregon. You said if you win, then I have to. You'll absolutely fucking not. No such thing as a look ahead spot.
That
narrative.
Yeah, they give me the cards.
If you don't know ball, just say that.
My God.
Give me the cards. If there's no such thing as look at a game, give me the cards.
If I had to guess, this line is around 4 or 5?
7.
7. Oh. Give me Louisville.
Go Birds. UTSA and Tulane. Does anybody know anything about these teams that they'd like to share other than Jeff Traylor?
I know a lot about these two teams. If you would like me to.
Of course you do.
Please do.
Get in my bag a little bit here. I know UTSA has a bunch of seniors led by Frank Harris. And they love to air that shit out. Great offense, not a super great defense. But Tulane, as you guys saw in the Rose Bowl against USC last year, returned a bunch. They do have their same quarterback back, Michael Pratt. Pretty good, pretty solid. And their defense this year, I think, got better from last year. So with that being said, I'm going to take Tulane. I would have to guess they're probably like 8 or 9 point favorites.
They are 3.5 point favorites.
Wow.
The thing that hasn't impressed me too much about Tulane is that it doesn't seem like they're blowing the doors off of teams in their conference,
And
like you would see from UCF or Cincinnati back in their heyday.
I truly believe it's because they're bored. I honestly believe that.
That could be
because their one game they did lose this year, they had to play it with their backup quarterback, and it was tied through 3 quarters, and then Ole Miss ran away with it late. But Tulane's like that.
Yeah. You know what? You talked me into it. And I also think there might just be a little bit of distraction with the UTSA team that this week, knowing that their coach is interviewing for other jobs. So, yeah, give me the roll wave.
Tyler doesn't have the cubes to take UTSA.
Turns out I do. This is one I'm going to take a chance on. Give me UTSA. Give me the meeps.
Let's go.
The Roadrunners.
And so now this is the game that really sets off the chaos dominoes in the Big 12, because Texas wins, they're in. If Texas loses, all of a sudden it opens up the floodgates for up to 4 other teams realistically in the Big 12 conference. But to me, Texas has avoided every trap that's been put in front of them. They've had to go on the road at night to Fort Worth, on the road at night in Ames. They had to play a really scrappy Kansas State team. Of course, to go on the road and beat Alabama. I don't see Texas Tech being the team that trips them up.
No. I'm
Brooke,
going
you want to
Texas.
take a guess?
Ooh.
I'm also taking Texas.
I think it's less than 7.
You would be wrong.
Ooh, 7.5.
Wow.
It's 12.5.
Whoa.
You know
Actually,
what? I actually don't hate that because I don't think Texas Tech is that good. So I
don't
just
think
thought
they are
on
either.
the road. But man, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a guess for this next game?
Also,
Oregon
I
State,
got this wrong on the sheet. It's in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
That makes sense now. I was like, wait a minute, that seems like a crazy spread for Lubbock in a night game. That's on
okay.
me.
Yeah. That makes a little bit more sense, but okay. Oregon, this one's in Eugene.
Yeah.
Oregon State. 7.5. Less.
Way higher.
More.
17.
A little less.
14.
13.5.
Wow. 2 touchdowns.
Man, they really think highly of Oregon then. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, you would be nuts to not take the points with Oregon State there, but I'm going Oregon to win. It's a rivalry game, and Oregon State is not a bad team. That's crazy.
No.
I'll get frisky here. I'll take Oregon State because it just feels like the perfect setup for the Pac-12 to miss out on the college football playoff. Is Oregon losing to Oregon State and then beating Washington and being a 2-loss
Is this
champ.
conference locked up? Is it Oregon, Washington for sure?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure. Let me look here. Let me look up our good friend Kelly Ford.
While you're looking that up, I will say that I completely believe in Oregon. I think they are one of the top 3 best teams in the country right now. But I need to make up some ground. And I do think that it's possible that Oregon State can win this game. So give me the Beavers on the road.
Oh, Beavs.
I don't hate that. I really like that Oregon State team.
Oh boy, I've gotten way too far down the rabbit hole here. Oh well, we'll figure that out. It's I'm pretty. Who else would it even beat? I think even Arizona's got 2 losses, 2 or 3 losses.
They have 3 losses, but were any non-con?
Maybe. I think they lost to Mississippi State.
They did.
By the way,
they lost to Mississippi State in OT. Which,
by the way, my Mississippi preseason poll, 10 of 11. So just
crazy.
put that out there.
You were not wrong about them, and they are not a good football team.
They're bad.
You better pull up those receipts and start going at those motherfuckers.
I've been thinking about it all season, just because I'm curious about the approach. I don't think I want to go in like 2 guns ablazing, just like hey, and they're playing Ole Miss this week, so I feel pretty good that they're gonna lose. I'm like 11 for 12. Like, hey man, I went 11 for 12. Granted, I didn't foresee Will Rogers getting hurt, missing significant time, so I feel like that's going to be the comeback. But 11 for 12.
But they weren't that good with Will Rogers, if we're being honest. So
no. Obviously, weren't good enough to keep their head football coach who they just hired, last year. So
yeah, Arnett.
Yeah,
that's a tough role to step into for
tough
anybody
spot,
taking
for
over.
Sure.
For someone who passed away, R.I.P. Mike Leach.
Yeah. Moment of silence for him and William Taylor, a victim of lynching back in the 1800s. I've learned tonight.
Jesus.
Colorado and Utah.
Let's not even talk about like
Brooke,
24.
22. Very close.
Oh,
22.
Yeah,
and
Utah.
And Utah doesn't really put up a whole lot of points. That's a lot of points. Whoops.
Colorado might not score, so
that's also true, especially if Shadur isn't very
Shadur,
healthy. Yeah. Give me the Utes. A 4, so that would be a 4-win season for the Buffs. Pretty crazy.
And they cast their win total real early, and everybody thought they were going to cruise, and they barely got there.
We're done. And that includes like I don't know if it was an overtime, but a last second comeback win against Arizona State. I'm pretty sure an overtime win against Colorado State. So they're literally a couple of plays away from being 2-10.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with their biggest win being Nebraska. That hurts still, but I still feel better about the team than
I think TCU is still their biggest win of the season. No,
I mean like point differential wise.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Florida State and Florida. This big one for my agenda because I was very adamant that Florida would not make a bowl game, and I feel very good about the spot that I'm in. Even without Jordan Travis, I think Florida stinks. Give me the Noles.
I'm gonna guess, Tyler, 3.5. Florida State's favored by
6.5.
Really, with the backup too.
Yep.
I'm going Florida State because I think they have a more talented roster around the quarterback, but I would not be shocked if Florida won this game.
Yeah, and just out of desperation, I have to take the Gators here.
I figured this would be one of your spots where you would take.
Yeah. And so, these next two games, this one in Ohio State, Michigan, I'm going to fade you in hopes that, because I think both of these games are going to be fairly close to where it comes down to like one or two plays. And I think these two are the best shot at me catching you here later down the board.
Well, I'm going to give you the easier route here on this next one, but I like Ohio State to win here.
Wow.
I really do. Their defense is for real. I am not super high on McCord, but he's kind of proven me wrong this year. So, and I think with all that's gone on, Ohio State is foaming at the mouth for this one. Will it matter? Maybe, maybe not, but I like Ohio State here.
You kind of talked me into it because I feel like Michigan, when Jim Harbaugh got there, they tried to be more of a spread offense. They had Shea Patterson. They tried to be athletic at the quarterback position, and that wasn't working against Ohio State because that's what Ohio State was doing, but Ohio State's way better at doing that than Michigan is. So then they just decided to get big, mean, and tough, and that beats up on Ohio State. Big beats fast sometimes. And now it feels like Ohio State's kind of gone, okay, obviously we're going to have good quarterback play. We have tremendous skill players. We got to get tougher. We got to get grittier. We got to get better on defense. So we got to play Michigan's game. I guess to that logic, I probably still trust Michigan to be a better Michigan than Ohio State being a better Michigan than Michigan. But you know what? Yeah, that was a disaster. Give me the Buckeyes here, so on and so forth.
I don't even think I know what you're saying. Like they had to get tougher, but I don't even think offensively Ohio State wants to play like Michigan. Like they're still going to throw it and get the ball in the hand of their wide receivers, but defensively they've like just got an attitude, and the guys that they got on defense they're really good. And I think that D line is going to give Michigan's really talented O-line some problems.
Yeah. Do you want to guess the spread here?
Like 3.
Correct.
Damn.
Good
all
one.
right.
There you go, Bookie Brook. Iowa, Nebraska. I've said this before, and I will double down on this point. This point will never change for me. We could be going into this game every single year. Iowa's 11-0 and Nebraska's 0-11. God forbid. But I'm never picking Iowa.
No. Red till dead, baby.
Yep. We're all in agreement here.
Are we?
I can't wait to give Brett Sprinkle a noogie on his bald ass head.
Why'd you say that?
Because He's a big Eastern
No,
Iowa
Brandon.
guy.
Well, because I thought you were going to fade Brooke here.
No, I have 4 on the board that are different than
Okay.
Brooks.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was worried.
Especially, I'm not going against this one. Fuck that.
Good man. Good man. I appreciate it. God damn it. I sent a message earlier this week. I was like, well, I got this proposal going on. I think I would handle a rejected proposal better than I would handle an Iowa win.
That's crazy.
Make sure you tell your fiance that. I'm sure she'd love that.
Don't tell her that.
No, dude, I'm married. You can listen to me.
There you go.
We'll take that one to the grave with us.
Yeah.
I mean, a crazy week, a big week for our interest, and also just in college football. I mean, we still have a very cloudy playoff race. I'm excited to see how that plays out. The Big 12 has a chance to be just a shit show, which I can't wait for. Actively rooting for. I even found a scenario where Iowa State still makes the college or the Big 12 championship game. So that's what I'll be rooting for. I got a plus 134, 246 something parlay cooking. Should be a good week here, fellas. Anything else you'd like to add?
Real quick, give me your guys' your final 4.
Or what I think it will be.
Little stuff.
Good one. Georgia, Ohio State, Washington. Nope, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas.
Damn, that was my exact 4, which is crazy.
Whoa.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Same wavelength.
I think in this scenario, I'm anticipating Florida State going undefeated, which I feel like they should get in, but this feels like a real shady spot for the committee.
I think Louisville jump up and bite them, but I don't think they get in personally, and I would love them to, honestly. But
if the committee has to pick between Alabama and Texas, who do you think gets in? Assuming Alabama beats Georgia.
It has to be Texas. They beat them by 10 on the road. If it was like a 3-point game and Texas was at home, then I could see the resume argument. But that's the reason you schedule a game like this, is for this very reason. You have to give it to the head-to-head.
I agree with you. I don't think that would be the case. I think Alabama gets in.
Wow. It would be hard to stomach Alabama getting in over Texas when they beat them by 10. At their own house.
Yeah, you're right. I would hate it. Tyler, what do you think? Final 4?
I'm going Michigan, Washington, Ohio State, Oregon.
Let's go, dude. And by the way, that has to start this week because Alabama, in that scenario where Texas is out of the equation, Alabama, if they win, they're in. They have to lose to Auburn.
I think if Georgia loses this week and then they beat Alabama in the SEC title game, I don't think that they get in.
Are you dumb or stupid?
Ohio State's got the better resume at that point.
I want to go on record by saying if the Pac-12 gets 2 fucking teams in, I will butt chug an alcohol of your guys' choosing.
Don't worry, we'll put it on the channel when it happens.
I'll also butt chug, but just out of celebration because that's the best case scenario. But
shot that happens.
The easiest way. So let's say Alabama loses to Auburn this week, and then they beat Georgia. They're a 2-loss conference champion. They're toast. Florida State stumbles to Louisville. They're toast. Texas stumbles one of the next 2 weeks. They're toast. Oregon beats Washington, so you get 2 1-loss teams in the Pac-12, and then you get 2 1-loss teams in the Big Ten. I think it has to be Michigan beating Ohio State because I don't think Michigan's resume is worth anything. So they have to be the undefeated Power 5 champ. So you get those 2. I think that's not impossible. Auburn stinks, so I think that's going to be where this falls apart. But sign me up, dude.
There is a slim chance the Big Ten could get 2, but I don't even think they get 2, no matter what. But no shot. Pac-12, after not putting 1 team in for how many years? They put in 2 this year. Give me a break.
I mean, if you're a Big Ten man, that's technically 4 Big Ten teams.
That's right.
They are the conference.
Sign me up for that, dude. That just gets me so hyped just thinking about it. I mean, I
You gotta
guess
speak
any
it into
scenario where the
existence.
SEC, any scenario where the SEC gets left out, mwah,
Yeah,
even
fuck
if it
that.
means. And I guess Texas is kind of an SEC team now, so fuck them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I had, fellas. Anything else?
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.